Because you go after children, and there ain't enough room in this preschool for the two of us. It's a drool check, and I love minors.
With the high rise in Monsterarts prices and the jumping level fall of quality regarding the Godzilla line, competing brands have acted as better alternatives in their place. But what happens when a plastic iteration of a character whom originated off-world brings death and destruction to each civilization and isn't afraid to inflict harm onto children? You have Spacegodzilla. So, open that box, loosen those ball joints, and fire that missile. As this time, we're looking at Bandai's new, to be exact, iteration of Spacegodzilla. When taking a close look at this illegal immigrant, whom was created through the DNA of the Big G, he's more or less akin to the Heisei variant, but with a sprinkle of crystal meth.
I don't think we're alike at all.
This is portrayed through the further sharpened snout that forgoes the Heisei's doggy-like head and goes for a full-on cosmic horror design. This isn't helped by the sharp fangs that are protruding out that may look like it adds extra biting power, but isn't seen being used once. But it isn't a modern Monsterarts if there isn't a paint blotch, as the teeth and nearby horns are colored in a dull and sloppy white finish, which contrasts with the rest of the body where the paint finish is superbly applied, making it a disappointing chapter in this figure. But maybe the biggest highlight regarding the head is the mini fork-shaped crown situated at the top, which accurately portrays Spacegodzilla's massive ego that won't be quelled until he's crowned the title King of the Monsters. Looking down at the torso, I can clearly say that Bandai gave it their A-game, as the sculpting is a completely different level regarding previous releases, as the flesh-like pure muscular structure is there to show, with each muscle fiber being intricately detailed and applied with a glossy blood red paint job that truly makes the torso an organic component. This is not mentioning the arms, which are scrawny in nature and clearly shows that Spacegodzilla isn't doing his reps. But after seeing the titular kaiju in action, it probably explains why. But hey, at least the claws are clearly painted this time with a white and gray mix. But contrary to the arms, which lacked any form of exercise, the shoulders seems to have had too many reps, as the crystals located on the shoulders are massive and apt to either intimidate rival kaijus if they dare have the balls, or the fact that Spacegodzilla is consuming too much meth.
Drugs.
And the crystals, when looking up close, are pretty well detailed, as the white point slowly transforms in color to that of your blood red finish, with a bit of flesh attached at the bottom. When moving below the bell, is it me, or...
That's a penis!
And it isn't a Godzilla figure without those thick legs that not only seem like they are able to pull off some heavy squats and be the object of jealousy from anime waifus. And just like the Heisei Godzilla, Spacegodzilla here retains the flat shoe-like feet that are thin and those extra white claws that add to the impressive sculpt. And the tail is also an essential component, as not only is it massive as being composed of 19 pieces, allowing this alien to conduct some tail lashes, but rather than the dull end found in 90% of Godzilla figures, Spacegodzilla, as being crystal in origin, possesses a Stegosaurus-like club with multiple crystals embedded on for not only drip, but to inflict damage onto would-be adversaries if they were ever to get near the extraterrestrial entity. But what is a Godzilla variant if we don't talk about the dorsal plates, as the dorsal plates, rather than a unified shape with a singular color, Spacegodzilla possesses a unique shape that would make Walter White blush, as the crystal-shaped plates not only adhere to Spacegodzilla's origin, but also help in this titular kaiju standing out among his peers. And the combination of the pink and white dorsal plates not only adds drip, but reminds me of a particular design. But a point to be wary of is that when I opened my figure, a dorsal plate came broken with an additional one following the same fate, something a figure of this price shouldn't have. But with the magic of this fella, I did Bandai's job instead, without additional payment. But a disappointing note is that plates from the tail onwards loses the elegant paint job and goes all out dull. But it isn't my first time, so it doesn't even shock me anymore when looking at the assortment of accessories that this Monsterarts is included with, rather than the singular, insignificant hands or
nothing at all.
Throughout the recent releases, Spacegodzilla comes with a decent pair. First are a pair of lightning effect pieces that you slightly place on the jack's shoulder crystals in order to replicate when Spacegodzilla goes full-on Sith Lord and spams the telekinesis button. And I have to say the effects are pretty well sculpted with the multi-directional sparks and a decent application of the blue paint job that would work well with the Emperor. But when the DEA catches glimpse of Spacegodzilla and sends the full force of the United States Armed Forces, let's just say guns win over meth. And in their place are these bloodied and broken crystals that resemble a cavity-filled tooth and can be placed by removing the giga crystals, and attaching them in their place are the rotted teeth. And it gives a menacing aura with Spacegodzilla looking pissed as he realizes he's not the alpha male he thought he was, and in truth, a baby man.
Little baby man, little baby man.
As a variant of the Big G, you probably expect at this point for Spacey to be a big boy. And you're right. Spacegodzilla stands at a height of 16.5 centimeters or roughly 6.5 inches tall, making this titular kaiju look down upon most Godzillas and a midget next to the Monsterverse variant. Here's Spacegodzilla next to gay girls, the horny and broken, help, looks like I'm cancelled, and Gojira, Godzilla, 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 and another fellow immigrant. Now, if you've seen my previous videos or spent an arm and a leg on kaiju figures, the Monsterarts line was well known for their range of posability and is leagues beyond their competitors. But Spacegodzilla being a re-release of the original Spacegodzilla, which being more or less one of their initial releases back in the day, articulation isn't this figure's strong point. Head movement, what head movement? Jaws can open wide, torso movement is 9, shoulder movement due to the crystals are non-existent, elbows bend up to 90 degrees, lower arms can move pretty well, and run-of-the-mill hand movement, leg split,
You're a virgin, aren't you?
limited leg movement, no knee movement, pretty good feet movement, and while the tail movement is a Monsterart staple, I can clearly see the rudimentary tail movement and improvements the brand made down the line, but still better than the higher releases. Another kaiju figure has won my heart as the SH Monsterart Spacegodzilla Fukuoka Decisive Battle Version is a fantastic release in the Monsterarts line as Bandai gave it their heart and soul in recreating the titular kaiju as the sculpt and application of paint job is beautifully portrayed, and accessories that, while not many, are great in replicating Spacegodzilla's when he's in combat. But this is probably due to Spacegodzilla being one of the initial releases when Bandai had to actually prove themselves. But not all is as shiny as it seems, as due to this being an early release, posability is more or less rudimentary compared to either their modern counterparts or the Hyatt Toys line. Minus the tail. This is not mentioning the broken dorsal plates early out of the box, which is unacceptable for a figure of this price. With that said, if you're a fan of either Spacegodzilla or kaiju figures overall, I would recommend the SH Monsterarts Spacegodzilla Fukuoka Decisive Battle Version, as the pros definitely outweigh the cons and is still probably the best iteration of Spacegodzilla in plastic form. In doing so, I'm gonna give the SH Monsterarts Spacegodzilla Fukuoka Decisive Battle Version a ranking of an A-.